Hey, it's Azrielle Lawless, and once again, you have fallen straight into Hella Vella, the channel where we talk about all things to do with the new and exciting serial reading platform from Amazon Kindle called Vella. And today I am here with author Dale E. Lehman, who is a veteran writer on Kindle, but just got his feet wet in Kindle Vella. Hi, Dale. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for being on the show today. And we're going to talk about your experience with Vella. You've only been in it for a little while, but you have been doing self-publishing for some time. I have it down here that you have a Vella called The Belt, and we will talk about that in just a moment. But I'm going to hit you with the first question that I ask every writer on my show, and that is, when did you get started writing?
As far as I remember, I was a little boy. I recall writing a really silly tale, showing it to my father, and I received my first feedback from him, which was, there's a difference between being silly and being humorous.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know exactly how much else I wrote at that very young age. I do remember writing stories in junior high school and definitely a lot through high school, college, and all the way through old manhood, which is about where I am right now. So it's a lifelong venture for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad to hear it. So so I guess, when did you hear about Kindle Vella?
It was a little over a year ago. Let's see, we're on 2022, so 2021, which I think is the year they actually launched that.
Right, in July of that year.
In July of that year, and I had heard about it probably in May through some of the groups that I'm in on Goodreads. And at the time, I thought it was very interesting, but I didn't have any real ideas for it. It was only probably in June that it suddenly struck me that, yes, I actually do have an idea for it, and proceeded to get going on it. So by the time they launched, I don't know that I had things ready to go exactly when they launched, but it was not long after the first episodes of The Belt appeared.
Oh, okay. And how many episodes do you have in The Belt now?
It runs to, I'd forget the exact count, but it's above 20. It's basically, the length of it is the equivalent of a novel.
So are you finished?
I am finished, yes. I did finish it. The last episode went up in August, mid-August, I believe it was.
Okay, okay. So there are many different variables in the length of a novel. Why don't you tell me how many words it is?
It's about 72,000 words.
Oh, excellent. In 20 episodes.
And 20 to 25, somewhere in that range.
Ish. And what is the story about?
The story is a science fiction drama. It takes place on Mars and in the asteroid belt, hence the name The Belt is a reference to the asteroid belt. It involves a scientist and his graduate students who have discovered incontrovertible evidence that life once existed on Mars, but the discovery happens to take place in a region that's slated for the development of a new colony, and the political leader of the planet doesn't care about science. He cares about expansion. He's going to run roughshod over it. Of course, the scientist is doing everything in his power to stop that, which puts him on the politician's list, and he ends up with a death mark. So he and his students are now engaged in this epic struggle for basically control of the planet. And they are badly outgunned at the beginning.
That's pretty epic.
It is.
Did you leave room to carry the story forward into book 2, book 3?
I originally had it in mind that I probably would. Of course, at the time, I didn't know how book 1 was going to end yet. I tend to what they call a pantser. I hate that word, but I'm stuck with it. So as I developed the story, it took off in some surprising directions.
Yes, they usually do.
There is definitely a lot of room for additional episodes to be developed. I just have to get the ideas for them.
Excellent, excellent. So you put this up, and have you been pretty happy with its performance?
Not really. I am not very good at marketing, and from talking with other people, I don't know that my experience is that unusual. I've had people read the first 10 or so episodes, but nobody has read all the way through it. Everybody that's read the first few episodes have said, oh yes, this is really good. I really like this, but for whatever reason, they just stop somewhere along the line. And I think it probably has to do with time. And I imagine Vella readers are probably interested in reading more than just one Vella. So time can be a problem, I would imagine.
Right, right. And well, yeah, it's pretty much universally understood in the Vela community that if you're not out there on your social media accounts and beating the drum, yeah, you're not going to be seen. And so yeah.
I have also
I
had,
realize that's probably rough on you. You've had a rough year.
yes, yes. But the other thing too is because as I have said, I've been writing for a long time and I have published several novels. Most of my following is interested in the novels. And what I'm finding is there isn't necessarily a lot of crossover between people who read books and people who are interested in serials. I
Yes.
tried promoting it through my newsletter and the feedback I kept getting was, I don't like serials. So
Yeah, that's I hear
was a
that a
drawback
lot
too.
from regular Kindle authors.
Right.
It seems that the readership on regular Kindle and KU is reticent to even try this platform.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And Amazon has thrown free tokens and free reads. And I'm sure you got in on the free week last week.
Right.
They were just, they're trying to get, they're not, I don't think they're trying enough, but they are making an effort. And no, it doesn't seem like the community crosses over much at all. And I think Amazon knew that. Amazon knows that the readership for Vella, if and when they get the kind of readership they want, they know it's a younger audience.
Right. And maybe that's part of my problem too, because I'm not younger anymore. So maybe I don't know how to reach that audience. I don't know.
Oh, there are a lot of us Vella authors who are certainly not spring chickens, and
Right.
it doesn't slow us down at all.
Some do very well with it. Some do very well.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people will, okay, so this is a path I'm taking. It's certainly not a unique one, but I'm using Vella to go ahead and write the stories, get them out there, and then I'm putting them up as books and ebooks. And that's happening a lot.
That's exactly what I'm doing with The Belt. After I finished it, I began working on the novelization. The story is largely the same, but in the course of turning it into a novel, I found all of the flaws that I had built into it, of course. So I had to fix a lot of things, and some things changed with the characters. So the novel is going to be a slightly different story than the Vella was, but a lot of the events are the same.
Right. I'm sticking with pretty much the same thing. They're going to get pretty close to the same thing. With the exception, the paperback readers will get a little bit more, a little something extra,
Right.
And yeah, that's the way I'm going. But now with your other novels, with the 7 other novels that you have, are they all in paperback and ebook?
Yes, they're all paperback and ebook. It's actually 6 novels and 1 short story collection.
Do you do your own formatting?
Basically, my wife and I ran a small publishing company.
I see.
For about 9 years, starting around 2010. We were mostly doing religious publishing at that time. Unfortunately, as I mentioned to you off the air, she passed away earlier this year. Her health had been declining for some time, so we got out of the publishing business in terms of publishing other people's books, but we kept doing my books. She was my editor and did the layout, and she did all of that stuff for me. So I found myself in a difficult position when she could no longer do it. I had to start learning some of that stuff, and amazingly, I picked it up fairly well, probably because I've been watching her for a decade and doing it. It's not like I learned it overnight.
Right.
But I have my own imprint and my own LLC that I hide everything behind so that I can say, yes, I was published by this company, but it's really me.
I like it. That's, why not? Well, that's interesting. I'm very sorry to hear about your wife. That's rough. And when it's your business partner, your life partner, all that rolled into one, it's even rougher.
Yeah.
Which for folks who listen to these interviews regularly, that is why we are not going to have a who is your favorite author section here, because Dale has had a pretty rough year and hasn't been able to do a lot of reading. So as you can imagine, but I would like to move forward to the question, what would you do if tomorrow you found yourself head of Kindle Vella to improve it for either the readers, the writers, or both?
Well, I think that the platform itself is really well done. I am in my day job, I'm a software developer. So when software does not work well, I get irritated with it. I have not had any real problems with the Vella platform. I think it's actually a very good platform. The problems that I see are all in marketing and being able to connect to an audience and be able to keep that audience engaged. One of the things that I find kind of vexing is that there does not seem to be any real automated way to let people know when a new episode is out there. It's all on the author to stay in touch with their readers and let them know. It seems to me like a platform that, Amazon's got amazing software behind them. It would not be at all hard for them to send notifications to readers who have engaged, at least in the paid sense, with episodes to let them know, hey, there's a new episode out there, especially if you've been favoriting things. There probably are better tools that they could develop. And I'm not a marketing genius. I call myself a marketing moron, but there probably are other marketing tools that they could develop that would help authors make that connection. And of course, it would be in their best interest because they're selling the tokens and collecting their cut on this. So it seems like they would be more interested in doing a better job of marketing. And up to this point, they, at least from what I've seen, I may have missed some things, but I don't think they've really done that much.
Well, we've probably both missed some things, but on the notification front, I can tell you that anyone with the Kindle app on their phone who has read Vella's will get, as long as they're following the Vella, they have to follow it. But if they follow the Vella, they will get notifications of new episodes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah. People who read them like on the computer, like I do, or whatever, if you don't read them on Kindle, I don't think you get them.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because that's how I do it as well. I do it on the computer.
On the computer, yeah. I have the Kindle app on my phone too, and I don't do a lot of reading on the phone, but at least I have it there, so I can see those notifications.
Mhm.
But besides that, is there anything else that you would do?
Not that I can really think of at this point. It's really, for me, it's all about the marketing. Like I said, I think the platform itself is a good platform.
Well, I do too, and I've had a lot of fun writing for it this last year. Do you have any other Vellas planned?
I don't have any concrete plans. I have toyed with the idea, of course, given what's happened this year, I haven't really had a lot of time to think about it, but
No.
I have, give me just a second. I'm going to mute this.
Okay.
Where were we?
Okay, so before we were interrupted by the phone, which, that's why people hate phones. We were talking about plans for another Vella, and you said you didn't have anything concrete.
Right.
At this time.
At this time. However, the belt leaves a lot of room for a season 2 kind of thing, a season 3. I had originally planned it to be and planning is a loose term here, but I had originally planned it to be something that's a sprawling epic that could run all over the place in all kinds of different directions. So there is definitely a possibility for that. I don't know if I will get to that this year. I still have some things that I have to wrap up, both in life in general and with my writing. But
Right.
I can definitely see myself doing a second season of the belt, and maybe more beyond that. And who knows what happens? Ideas come to me. I may come up with something else.
Well, it sounded like a great story. Really did.
Thank you.
It sounds so plausible. I'm so jaded from living in America for the last decade, let's say.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So it sounded like a great story to me. It sounded like one you could really like dig into and make a series out of, kind of.
Yes, and it also has plenty of characters that have plenty of room to do all kinds of crazy things. They're at this point, there is not a single character in this story that doesn't have something kind of wrong with them in a way. They all, even the good characters are not entirely good. The bad characters are not entirely bad. They all have some serious personality quirks that they would have to contend with. Which makes for fun stories.
Yeah, and plus, I can't name a single person I know that doesn't have some
right
serious personality quirks. And the
Yeah,
ones
I'm
who
the
think
only
they're
one that I
hiding them
know.
aren't doing that good a job. So
I'm the only one that I know that is completely normal. So
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I think the whole world's crazy except you and me, and I'm not particularly sure about you.
right. And some days I'm not even sure about myself. So
you know how that goes, man. So I love it when characters show their flaws. They have to, actually, for me to enjoy them. And I think that they have to a large degree, for people to relate to them, don't you?
Oh yeah, because obviously nobody's perfect. I kind of, when I'm talking to other writers in either the context of a class or a workshop or something like that, I kind of like to tell people I'm sick of hearing about character flaws, because to be honest with you, that is just such an obvious thing. We shouldn't even have to talk about it.
Right. I mean, other than to talk about, how unique they are,
Right.
how quirky they are, or whatever,
Yeah.
running into
Right.
them. The fact
the whole problem with when you start focusing on that, and it's interesting. I was at the Maryland Writers Association this weekend, and in one of the workshops, the presenter was talking about this very thing that if you're not careful, you think, oh, this character needs a flaw, and then you just pick something out of the hat. It doesn't actually fit the character.
Well, us pantsers know that character is going to show you what's wrong with them.
Right.
You just follow them around.
Right.
Tell the story. And I was going to mention, that's what I was actually driving this way for, was so I was segueing for you right up to so you could tell the audience about what you heard at the Maryland Writers Conference.
Yes. So part of what I was doing there was I was pitching the novelization of the belt to a couple of agents, and one of them is very interested in it, wants to see the manuscript. So I'm putting some finishing touches on that this week, maybe into next week, depends on how long it takes. And then I'll pack that off to him, and we will see how it goes. I'm hoping that he likes it well enough to want to represent it, and that's out there somewhere. There's a publisher that wants to publish it.
Well, that just sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I would be so happy if that happened. On the other hand, if it doesn't happen, I've published my own books. The belt will appear in book form one way or another, but it would just be really special to have it come out of a publishing house.
I know. Indie publishers, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they are really, really giving the conventional publishing a run for their money. But I don't know any indie authors who would turn down Doubleday if they came knocking at their door,
Right.
And I don't know any who wouldn't puff up with pride over it either. So I'm very happy for you and congratulations. And I do hope that it pans out to something that, winds up getting you either trad published or, getting you an agent that's worth having,
Thank you. I actually think this would make a good movie or television series too. That's another reason for wanting an agent, because actually getting those subsidiary rights sold, you almost can't do it without an agent.
I don't think you can. They're afraid that you won't have legal representation and then they'll get hauled in for taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I believe that's true also. Well, then the last thing there is to say is, what would you like to say to the folks who are going to click on your link from the description on this video? What would you like to say to them about your work?
Well, the main thing I would like to say is I really value my readers. I have a newsletter that I send out weekly, and people can subscribe to that. And I give you some freebies when you subscribe to it. So you can just go to my website, which is very simple. It's my name, DaleELehman.com. And you can pick that up. What I would really like to do is hear your feedback. I listen to all kinds of feedback, good, bad, ugly, whatever you have to say. I try to learn from it. Some writers only want to hear the good stuff. I can't blame them for that, but I take my craft seriously, and I figure that if somebody's got something to say, I should listen to it. So I hope you do read. I hope you like what you read. I hope you interact with me a little bit so that I can get to know you and make my work better for you. It's a two-way street. We write for ourselves, but we kind of don't write for ourselves either. We also write for the world.
Right. Yeah. If I was writing for myself, nothing would ever get written, except my journals,
Well, I figure I write for myself to begin with. I figure if I like a story, there's got to be one or two other people in the world that also likes it. I can't be that unique.
Well, that's awesome. That's probably true. You can't have an original thought, much less an original, like something and be totally original about it.
Right.
All right, man. This has been another Lawless interview, and thanks you guys for listening, and come back often. We have new content all the time. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Take care.
You too.